All right, let's jump right into this. Today's explainer covers one of the absolutely wildest, headline-grabbing reports to hit the tech space lately. As of August 13th, 2026, major outlets like Reuters and Bloomberg are reporting that Anthropic is in early talks to acquire an AI infrastructure startup called Decart. But look, we're not just going to skim the headlines here. We're going to completely dissect what this potential mega deal tells us about the future of artificial intelligence. Because honestly, the race isn't just about who builds the smartest AI anymore. It's morphed into a massive, high-stakes cost war. And speaking of high stakes, just look at that number, $6 billion. That is the reported price tag for this potential acquisition. To put that into perspective, Decart just raised $300 million back in May of 2026, which pegged their valuation right around $4 billion. So if this $6 billion deal actually goes through, that means Anthropic is willing to pay a staggering 50% premium just 3 months later. It would be their largest acquisition ever, hands down. That instantly tells us that whatever Decart is building, Anthropic believes it's absolutely existentially crucial to their survival.
Which naturally leads us to the billion-dollar question, right? Why pay this much for a startup? I mean, Decart was literally only founded in 2023. And if you know the name Decart at all, you probably know them for their flashy, consumer-facing stuff. They make those incredibly cool, highly interactive, real-time AI videos and what they call world models, systems that simulate how an environment changes over time. Super impressive tech, but does a top-tier frontier lab like Anthropic really need a $6 billion video generator? Well, the short answer is absolutely not.
Okay, let's move into Section 1, Beyond Flashy AI Video, the hidden strategic product. Think of those interactive videos and world models like the tip of a massive iceberg. It's the glossy stuff everyone sees, but underneath the surface is a huge hidden strategic reality, the Decart Optimization Stack, or DOS for short. You see, Anthropic isn't trying to buy a video maker, they are after Decart's underlying software infrastructure. DOS is software specifically designed to optimize exactly how AI models run on physical hardware, the actual computer chips humming away in massive data centers. Anthropic's reported goal is to snatch up Decart and fold their entire team straight into Anthropic's own inference and performance organization. That brings us to Section 2, Winning the Inference War, the shift to cost per answer. To really grasp why optimization software could be worth $6 billion, we have to talk about the core economic battleground of modern AI. The competition has totally shifted. It's no longer just about who has the biggest budget to train a model. It's about who can actually deliver the answers for the cheapest price. This is all about inference. Inference is simply the act of running a trained AI model to generate an answer, a prediction, or a piece of code. Every single time you ask Claude a question, it consumes computing power. And as we transition from using AI for occasional chatbot queries to deploying always-on agents making hundreds of decisions a minute, those compute costs compound incredibly fast.
There's a brilliant analogy that makes this business logic super clear. Think of these AI companies like airlines. Training a frontier model, feeding it all that data, is a massive, painful upfront cost. It is exactly like buying a brand new airplane. But inference? Inference is the ongoing daily cost of operating the actual flights for millions of users. And the winning airline isn't necessarily the one with the flashiest planes. It's the one that turns planes around the fastest, uses the least amount of fuel, keeps the seats totally full, and flies the most profitable routes. For Anthropic to win, they need their daily flights to be as cheap and efficient as humanly possible. So, just how efficient are we talking with Decart? Well, according to Decart's own website, they claim their optimization stack can make AI systems up to 100 times more efficient. Now, imagine you're Anthropic. You're staring down the barrel of billions of dollars in future computing costs just to keep Claude running for millions of people. A metric like that is exactly why you pick up the phone and start negotiating a $6 billion buyout. Because honestly, even if they only realize a fraction of that claimed efficiency, it still translates into enormous compounding financial savings over time.
But let's just pause here for a quick reality check. We have to be totally objective. That 100 times more efficient number is a marketing claim. It's coming straight from the company itself. It is not an independently verified, undisputed fact. And it might only apply to very specific niche workloads. We definitely shouldn't just assume it applies to every single thing Claude does. Plus, it's really important to remember that this whole $6 billion acquisition is based on reported early-stage talks. It's not a done deal, and honestly, the whole thing could still fall apart. We're just analyzing the strategic signals this potential deal sends.
All right, Section 3, Breaking Hardware Lock-in, the multi-chip leverage play.
If you rely entirely on just one single supplier for the chips you need to run your AI, you are basically locked in. You lose all your bargaining power. But the Decart Optimization Stack is uniquely designed to break that lock-in. It reportedly runs efficiently across multiple different types of chips. We're talking NVIDIA GPUs, Google TPUs, and Amazon's Trainium chips. If Anthropic gets their hands on software that makes all these different chips run beautifully, they suddenly hold a massive multi-chip leverage play. They aren't forced to bow to just one vendor. This kind of chip-neutral software gives them the total flexibility to negotiate way better compute contracts and just seamlessly shift workloads around based on who's offering the best price that day.
Ultimately, what we are witnessing here is a textbook play for vertical integration. Instead of just renting hardware and relying on outside vendors for the software that runs it, Anthropic wants to buy and own that optimization layer outright. By owning the very machinery, the operating system basically, that turns those rented chips into Claude's outputs, Anthropic is trying to guarantee that their explosive top-line revenue actually translates into durable, high-margin profit for the long haul.
Let's wrap things up with Section 4, Winners, Losers, and Risks, the market fallout.
If this unconfirmed deal does manage to cross the finish line, it is going to send absolute shockwaves through the industry. Let's start with the potential winners. Anthropic obviously scores critical tech, incredible engineering talent, and serious negotiating leverage. Decart's investors, they're walking away with a massive, rapid return on their cash. But here is the fascinating part. Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services might actually be huge winners here too. If Anthropic can suddenly use Google and Amazon's custom-built chips way more effectively, those platforms are going to see a massive spike in usage. And hey, you and I, the actual customers, could win too, as lower inference costs eventually mean cheaper, faster AI products for us. On the flip side, we've got the exposed players. Rival AI labs are suddenly going to face intense pressure to either build or buy their own optimization stacks, just so they can keep their costs somewhat competitive. For Anthropic itself, well, acquisitions are hard. There are huge integration risks, plus the looming danger that they are overpaying for tech someone else could just copy. And then there's NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA is absolutely not an outright loser here. Global demand for their chips is still completely off the charts, and they actually invested in Decart themselves. But cross-chip optimization definitely threatens their totally exclusive ecosystem, and it certainly chips away at their hardware lock-in.
So how are we actually going to know if Anthropic's grand strategy pays off? Well, here are the concrete business signals you need to be watching over the next few months. Number 1, watch for the official deal confirmation and specifically pay attention to exactly where Decart's team is placed inside Anthropic's org chart. Number 2, keep a super close eye on Claude. Do we start seeing sudden changes in pricing? Does the response speed get noticeably faster? That's your proof of better unit economics. And number 3, watch the headlines for any new, massive multi-chip deployment announcements involving Google and Amazon's infrastructure.
We're going to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. Will the next AI leader simply be the one who wastes the least? The whole era of just throwing endless billions at raw computing power to build a giant model, that era is evolving. The next frontier is all about extreme efficiency. It's about shrinking the cost per answer, mastering your margins, and literally squeezing every single drop of utility out of every chip you rent. Anthropic's reported $6 billion play for Decart is a giant flashing sign that the war for AI dominance won't just be won in the research lab, it's going to be won right on the balance sheet. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on those signals, and as always, keep learning.